Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the March Catch Up with Keeper webinar. Thank you all so much for joining us, and I hope y'all are all having a good start to, or I guess a good conclusion to tax season. I, for one, am like personally shocked it's already almost the end of March, almost the end of Q1. So I hope y'all are all having a good start to the year. As is our custom, we're going to go ahead and give folks a couple of minutes to shuffle on in. So while we do that, we'd love folks who drop in the chat and let me know where you're calling in from. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get things started. So in case this is your first ever Catch Up with Keeper webinar, one, welcome, and two, let me explain a little bit about how this works. So there's essentially two core pieces of the webinar. First is I'm going to walk through all the latest changes that we've made to Keeper in the last month, and then I will pause and open things up for Q&A. On the note of Q&A, if you have a question, please drop it into the Q&A section at the bottom of the Zoom screen here. That will make sure that I track it and we get to it instead of it getting potentially lost in the chat. All right, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll dive on it. Okay, first set of updates is to Keeper emails. So first things first, we added better access controls. So now if you go to your practice settings, you want to manage your users. Originally, you could just choose who had access to connect their personal inbox, but now you can choose who has access to the firm inbox as a whole and who has access to the client email history. So if there's someone, for example, that you don't want seeing the client email history, you can just uncheck this box and then they won't have access to that in the firm settings, or sorry, in the client list, chart close page. Just as a recap in terms of what that means, where that is, on the clients page here, if you go to the portal, this shared email history will pull all of the emails from all of the email inboxes that you have connected that are related to contacts who have access to this client. So basically, any email from any of these users will show up in the email history. But if you don't want someone to see that setting for some reason, you just come here to your practice settings, manage your users, Keeper emails, and then disable that. And then the same basic principle is going to apply for the firm inbox as well. Okay. Next, back here in the inbox itself, we now have access to folders and labels. So you can now move emails around. So here we've gone ahead and labeled this as test. If we wanted, we could remove that. So here you can see your labels here. We can see this is the only email in test. If I remove that here and then refresh, we'll see there's no more emails there. You can also drag and drop emails into different folders. I think this is a little finicky at the moment. I know we are working on an update there. There we go. So we go ahead and drag and drop that back into test. This works across both Outlook and Gmail. The one difference is Gmail uses labels, whereas Outlook uses folders. Otherwise, they are exactly the same. All right, and last but not least, we also added undo send. So if you send an email, you made a mistake, you can undo it. If you want to configure that, you go to your user settings, inbox, and then you have an undo send cancellation period ranging anywhere from 5 to 30 seconds. All right. So we're going to go ahead and pause here, take questions related to Keeper emails, and then we'll move on to the other updates. Yowsi asked, how many email addresses can be connected? I manage several client emails with different domains. So at the moment, you can only have one connected firm inbox and then one connected personal inbox per user. We are working on adding multiple inboxes, both multiple inboxes that could be firm inboxes. If you have like a sales ad email and info ad email, you could connect both. And then we're also working on a way to connect individual emails directly to individual clients. So for example, if you manage the like accounting at client name email, you'll be able to connect that. So neither of those are live today, but they are features that we're working on. Elaine asked, is email a per client charge like receipts are? It is not. The firm inbox, which is the same as the practice email that you initially connected when you set up Keeper Premium. So this email, your practice email here, is the same as the firm inbox. Firm inbox is completely free. And then if you connect additional user emails, those are $10 per connected user email. So that's not per client. Laura asked, can we schedule emails to be sent out on a certain date, like the 5th of every month, that are just automatically sent and not relying on reminders? So for example, we want to send out a monthly email asking our clients to load receipts, documents, etc. Not currently a feature we have today, although it is in the works. With some optimism, I might be able to announce that in the next webinar, but if not, definitely the one after that. Carmen asked, if we delete an email in Outlook, will it still appear in the client email history, or are we going to need to archive emails in Outlook instead? Great question. If you delete an email in Outlook, it will delete that. It will not show that email in Keeper. And the same goes for Gmail as well. Essentially, what's happening in Keeper is we are looking at the current state of your inbox, and then all of your emails live in your inbox. And so if you delete an email out of your inbox, it is functionally removing that from Keeper as well. Brittany asked, can I show again how to add labels in an email? So a couple of options here. One is you can drag and drop an email. You're in your inbox and you wanted to move something. Let's say I wanted to move this email here. I can just drag it to test. And what that will do, if you drag something out of here, it's going to both remove it from the inbox and put it in test. So we're going to go ahead and move this back to the inbox as well. Additionally, you can also label emails right from here. Okay, an anonymous attendee asked, what's the best email address to use for my team to see my conversation with clients that they are managing? Company info email or my company email? Great question. So a lot of this boils down to your relationship with your clients. What we do recommend is putting communication in the firm inbox if possible. So if you have, I know this is like a bad example because mine are like both Ben at emails, but the firm inbox is designed to be something like an info at practice name email or clients at practice name email. We do tend to recommend doing that. That way it sort of takes some of the pressure off of you being the personal responder. So would recommend doing that just from a like work management standpoint. That way one of your team members can get back to the email without you needing to route that. However, if you do need to route an email to a team member that is in your personal inbox, two things I'll mention here. First is if we've got this test email, you can @tag a team member here, and that will put it in their, that will essentially add that to their view here. So they'll see that in their comment inbox, their notification inbox. You can also create a task. So if you want someone to complete something, you can create a task for that. That will link this email thread to that task, and then you can assign that task to the user. And then last but not least, if you're actually on a client, so if we're in DemoCo, again, that shared email history is going to mean that anyone who's working on that client is going to be able to see all of the emails that are assigned to that client, or sorry, that are sent back and forth to that client, even if they're in your personal inbox. Chris asked, can emails be auto-tagged to certain companies, individuals or projects? So we don't have an explicit labeling function, but this email history is working based on the contacts. So for example, if Danielle sends me an email, it is going to show up in the email history on this client. Lori asked, when I look at an email that has ongoing threads, how do I make the current email in the inbox show at the top or as the first email? Also, why are email threads not in date order? So basically, we should be just mirroring what you're seeing on Gmail or Outlook. So if that's not what you're seeing, go ahead and write into support in our support chat, and we'll take a closer look. Chet asked, can we have a link to open emails in Gmail? Sometimes I need to open an email from mail.google.com for extra features. So that's a good feature request. Definitely something we could add, not something we have at this time. Courtney said, I would still prefer a way to have templates for recurring questions for clients because I'm trying to not email clients if I don't have to. Will this ever be a thing? I am not sure I fully understand what you mean by this. So if you want to add some clarification there in a follow-up Q&A, I can tackle that. Carmen asked, can anyone respond to an email in the client email history, or does it have to be the person who the email was originally sent to only? At the moment, you're only able to respond to that email if you yourself have access to that inbox. That means the email is in the firm inbox or it's in your personal inbox. So you can't come in and respond on your client or on another user's behalf and vice versa. That is something we're looking to change. That will probably be a setting so that you can choose whether or not you want that capacity. Sarah asked, when you move emails out of the inbox, as in if you archive them, do they still stay attached to tasks that were created off them? The answer is yes. Yowsi asked, will rules be available in the future, like auto forwarding? Definitely something we'd like to add support for. What I would recommend in the meantime is to just use the existing rule systems within your Outlook or Gmail emails. Keeper emails should completely respect those. Kate asked, will the labels list import from Gmail? They will. So you should be able to see all of your emails here that are labels in Gmail or folders in Outlook and vice versa. And then if you ever notice that they are not in sync, you can just click the sync labels option and they will get updated. Carmen asked, will we be able to connect email aliases? You can't at this time. It is something that we are working on. And then Chet asked, is it good practice to add the client's CPA as a contact for multiple clients in Keeper? This is a good question. I would generally recommend no. The reason for that is you may see a bunch of spurious emails back and forth to that CPA across every client in the shared email history. So it would end up being a little clunky. I will say I do think we are overdue for an overhaul of our contact permissions model to add things like primary contacts, and then also add things like CPAs who you may want to give like statement or certain levels of access to at year end, and then we can flow that permissioning model through the shared email history. But for now, I would not recommend adding the CPA as a contact directly. An anonymous attendee asked, if a client is associated with if a contact is associated with multiple client entities, how does Keeper determine which client to associate their emails with? Great question. We just put it in both. So if you have like John Smith, and John Smith has two clients that he has access to, client A and client B, any email from John Smith will show up in both email histories. Okay, that is all of the emails questions. So I'm going to move on to eSignatures. So eSignatures is the major update for this month is we added eSignatures templates. So you can create a template here and then use it across multiple clients. It's a great tool for engagement letters or for example, 8879s. Speaking of 8879s, we should have a default practice level 8879 template that we're going to make available for free to everyone in their practices later this week. All right. On to some receipts updates. First is finally, long overdue, we now have access to products and services across every transaction type. So if you have a bill or an expense and you want to create a product and services type bill, you can do that here. You just toggle this toggle on or off, and then that will allow you to choose items. In addition, that is now also live inside of the other final review reports. So for example, we've got this other bill. We can see this is products and service based. So we can now see that this is a t-shirt or $101.01. All right. One more update to the close, and that is an improvement to our exclusion rules. So you can now, if you're in your account exclude list, exclude entire account types. So for example, if you want to exclude everything, it's an accounts payable. You can check that box here. You can see what the accounts within accounts payable are, and same with AR. So basically, you can just have more fine grain or more broad controls over what goes into your exclusion list. All right. And then a few other smaller updates. One that I know a few firms have been asking for in particular is we now added an option to prevent standard users from creating monthly closes. So if you toggle this on, only manager and admin users will be able to create month-end closes. Additional improvement that is really long overdue. So finally, glad we were able to get this one in. You can now move tasks between sections in your templates. You've been able to do this in the closes for a while, but we've now finally added that to your templates. And that works in both closing and custom sections. All right. And last but not least, some of you have noticed this more than others, but we made some major improvements to the client list load times. Every firm should have seen an upgrade in terms of load times. Some firms might have seen upwards of 50% performance improvements. This is definitely not one that is super visible, but definitely one that we focus a lot on. We know load times is an important aspect of the experience of using Keeper, and so we want to make sure that we're continuing to focus on performance improvements. All right. Well, those are the major updates for the month. So now I will turn back over to see if there are any remaining Q&As. Michelle asked, is there any way to assign multiple people to one question? Not at this time. Definitely, as I mentioned earlier, we need to overhaul some of our permissions models in contacts, and that is one reason why for sure. Chet asked, can we move tasks between custom tasks and closing tasks? Not currently, although that is definitely something that we're working on. The data models are a little different there. That's why it's not currently supported today, but definitely something we want to support. Michelle asked, is there a way to import templates from CSV? Not currently at this time. Adrian asked about an issue with her Outlook email not syncing with Keeper emails. Adrian, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and write into Keeper support, and we will take a look at what might be going on there. Yausi asked, will there be an update to the tasks sections? Bit of a broad question. So I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, we do continue to make improvements to tasks. We do have some other exciting ones coming later this month. So I guess yes is the answer to that question. Mary asked, if I have a list of all uncategorized transactions, can I mark them all to send email, or do I just have to do them individually? Okay. Just want to make sure that I understand what this question, how this question is phrased. So first things first, when you ask a question in Keeper, it does not automatically send an email. That way you can ask multiple questions without blowing up your client's email inbox. And then second is if you have multiple different multiple transactions, you don't need to click one by one and ask them each individually. You can also check this box here and then bulk add transactions to your client questions. Once you've done that, then you can message your client, say something like, we have some new questions we need your help with, and then send or schedule send that email. Okay, Anonymous Cindy asked, sorry if you already mentioned this, but can you select a tag now when you create a task from the inbox? Great question. I think you can't do it immediately when you're creating the task, but once you have created the task, then you can click here and add the tag. I think clarified your prior question, there's no template for recurring questions. So if I want all clients to fill a form every quarter, asking for updates, I have to go to each client to do this. Their workaround. This is a great question. No, there's not a good workaround for that at the moment. But definitely see what you're asking for here. I definitely think this is something we could support. An anonymous attendee asked, any idea when the glitch with the Chrome extension will be fixed that requires frequent logging out and logging in? Yeah, great question. So Intuit has been sort of changing a lot of their logic that is causing this breaking. So we are working on some improvements. I don't have an immediate ETA on that, but we are also working on some remedies that should make that less problematic. So short-term and long-term fixes coming. An anonymous attendee asked, can you add 2 templates when you use the batch select option like you used in the example you just showed for Mary's? No, if I understand the question correctly. You can't like have, I'm not actually sure how you would do that, but you can only choose like one question here, and then that will be applied across all transactions that you have selected. You can bulk select this one and then apply this template, and then select this one, unselect this one, and then apply a different template. So that works. I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for.
I guess you could just custom write the question to include, what you want. If
Yeah.
you info plus vendor, for example, you would just put, what is this for and who is the vendor, and just type it in. You don't need to stick with the templates.
Yeah, great call out there, Shana. Sarah asked, is adding tags directly from a task you create in the inbox, since you can't do it yet, on the roadmap? Yes, this is something we are working on polishing up. Brittany said, in my account, I don't currently see the option for labels, but I can add folders. This is something that has to be implemented in Outlook before it can be used in Keeper. Or is there a setting that we have to enable in Keeper to use the labels? Okay, great question. So basically, the primary organization mechanism for Outlook is folders, whereas the primary organization mechanism for Gmail is labels. So in Outlook, we only support folders. I know Outlook does also have a labeling feature. So if you do use that labeling feature, that's not something we support yet. Definitely something we could add support for down the road, but not something that you can just like enable in Outlook at the moment. Rachel asked, can you schedule your replies in the client portal? I was under the impression that the client gets a notification when we reply to their question or reply to their answer. Okay, great question. I'm going to actually go to a question and show you. So by default, nothing that you do in the portal immediately notifies your client. That way you can kind of prep the portal before you send your clients an update. In your non-transaction and questions from clients, for example, if your client responds to something here and then you want to add a response, you can choose this option to notify your client or not. What that is going to do is that's going to essentially message your client with a we responded email that says, we responded to your questions in the portal. Please feel free to respond. And then it's got a link to the portal. So that works here on your non-transaction questions and your questions from your client. So basically, if you're responding to like 3 inbound questions, for example, you can just check this one on the 3rd rather than checking it on every one, and that way they'll only get 1 email. But you're in total control in terms of when you actually notify your clients. Okay, Julie asked, in a client's page, have there been any requests to view custom tasks in one tab and closing tasks in a separate tab, similar to the tabs at the top for close metrics and reporting? This is not something we support today, but definitely something that is a good place for a canny. One quick thing I'll mention is you can collapse all. And that will like kind of shut everything down. So it's a much more tight, manageable page. And then you can just click custom tasks open so that you can see your custom tasks. And then if you want, you can close that and then open your closing tasks as well. So that's definitely a good option if you want to keep things a little bit more separated between your custom and closing tasks. Carmen asks the ability to delete emails rather than archive emails on the roadmap. Yes, it is. An anonymous attendee asked, will the ask question feature in the Chrome extension be available in the new QBO bank feeds that QuickBooks is rolling out? Or is it already? And I don't know how to access it. It is definitely going to be. The frustrating thing with these staggered rollouts is we actually don't have access to any of the bank feed stuff to start writing this. So anonymous attendee, whoever you are, if you wouldn't mind emailing me, ben.sign@keeper.app, or just writing into our chat here. Would love to take a look at what you're seeing here so we can get started on that engineering process. Carmen asked, does Keeper emails pull in junk or spam email from Outlook? At the moment, there is not a way to see junk or spam emails inside Keeper emails. That is definitely something that we want to add support for, though. Right. Well, that appears to be all of the Q&A for today. So we'll give folks another 60 seconds here to work through any remaining Q&A that you might have on the top of your mind. Otherwise, we are always here and live and available to answer your questions, whether on chat or in email. Okay, an anonymous attendee asked, is there somewhere I'm relatively new to Keeper, is there somewhere I can get training videos? The answer is yes, and that is our YouTube channels. Go to best place to start for this is the Help Center. We have some good getting started with Keeper YouTube videos. So we've got this whole long playlist here of how to do everything in Keeper. You can take it step by step. You can jump around depending on what it is that you want to learn at a given point in time. So definitely recommend this. It's a great chunk by chunk breakdown of how to work inside Keeper.
And Lauren just put the link to that YouTube channel in the chat. Thank you, Lauren. And feel free to subscribe so you can get updated when we post new videos as well.
And I also just dropped the link to the specific playlist as well. All right, folks. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope you have a great and productive rest of your March. I wish you all an easy and not overworked remainder of tax season. For those of you who do taxes or get sucked under the tires by other people who do taxes, we are always here to support. If you have other things you'd like to see added to the product, if you have issues with the product, if you have bugs, if you need training, so feel free to reach out to us. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your month, and I will see you again next month.